Hey guys, I am Colleen and I'm a person. I like to read and I like to write, but I do whatever on this channel. And today I was going to do something else. It may be surprising, but I have never read any Colleen Hoover books. So I was going to read It Ends With Us because I haven't read it and it's been turned into a movie and such. But there's just a lot that's come out about it and it's just become such a drama-filled thing, more of a Hollywood situation now. So I wasn't really keen on doing that anymore. Instead of being productive and thinking about it thoroughly, I read a lot of manhwas. Ruined my life. I need a patch for manhwa. My sleep schedule is suffering. Exercising, hydrating, I don't even know anymore what those are. I've just been reading manhwas. I don't eat, I don't sleep, I can't breathe. The video is not about that. I'm just saying I could have made a more thorough plan for a backup video, but I didn't. So today we are going to talk about my thrifting tips for you guys. Thrifting tips, a lot of people have them. You might already actually have heard these tips from other people or have learned these tricks yourselves if you're like a frequent thrifter. But I will tell you anyway what I do and what I find makes thrifting easier, because people who are thrifting for the first few times, you find that you get overwhelmed because you're inundated with all these choices, and it's just, even visually, it's a bit overwhelming when you get to a thrift store. These are just personally the things that I do to make things easier, to narrow things down. My first tip is to have a board, a Pinterest board, or like a thrifting manifest board. I didn't used to do this, but I would generally know what vibe I would want before going on a thrifting trip. If you watch some of my previous like thrift hauls, I always have like a specific vibe. Sometimes I'm going for like cottagecore or fairycore items, or when I had that bloquette kick, I think it's important to have a visual representation of what you're looking for so that you can find them easier when you are at the store. Next tip is have an idea of the kinds of fabric you are comfortable with and patterns that you want. So what I do is I have a general idea of the kind of fabrics I always go for, or I prefer. I like light chiffon-y or mesh type things. I stay away from linen things because they're hard to like keep straight. I don't like ironing, and you kind of get a feel for that. Like, you know what mesh feels like, and like tulle or cotton. So if you're going through a rack, you can sort of get a feel for it as you're going through the hangers. Same goes for pattern. Visually, you can see the types of patterns that you like or don't like. If you don't like animal print, you can avoid that. You don't have to go through it one by one, is what I mean. If you like or don't like plaid or gingham or houndstooth, all those kinds of patterns, just have a general idea of the kind of fabric or pattern you like and don't like. So my third tip is a bit optional. It's kind of a duh thing. If you're concerned with like lessening the overwhelming feeling of thrifting and having all these options, I think it's always good to skip the sections that you're not really interested in, your thrifting limits, if you will. For example, for me, I never really buy really thick jackets at the thrift store. I don't buy bags either. So you get it. You can avoid those sections so that you can spend more time in the sections that you are actually interested in, instead of just like meandering through the whole store. I don't know if this is the case everywhere, but in my thrifting spots, they're like separated into the types of clothing. Skirts will be in one section, jackets will be in one section. Sometimes you find the odd pearl in those sections that you normally don't go to. But yeah, if you're like pressed for time or you want to be quick about it or efficient about it, yeah, just skip those sections. We are breezing through this. My next tip is have an approximation of your measurements. I know that's a bit, but you know your body, you have a general idea of what will and won't fit. If you know your approximate measurements, you can, even holding it up, even without trying it on, you can sort of tell if it's absurdly large or if it'll fit you or be close to the measurement that you are. So you can sort of lessen the things that you have to try on, if that makes sense. My next tip is have a go-to thrift spot. Of course, there's nothing wrong with exploring, but if you have a place where you find they're a bit consistent with the things that you like, in stocking the things that you like, write that down or something, so that you will have at least like a top 3 go-to thrifting places, so that you always have the option to go there. Because thrifting a lot of different places you're not familiar with, the experts do it, but if you're like a beginner thrifter, it can get discouraging if you go through these unfamiliar places and you don't really find anything and you have to like look through a lot of things without finding anything and leave empty-handed and tired. That can get disheartening, and I don't want that to happen to you. If you find a place that stocks your style, then maybe frequent that. My last tip is to have a general idea of the kind of necklines or cuts of skirts that you like and don't like, or what works for you and what doesn't work for you. I prefer high necklines. I don't like the one side thing unless it's really pretty. What works for you in cuts of skirts, A-line pencil skirts, length even, midi, maxi, mini. Of course, you can do whatever you want. If you want to experiment, if you are going into thrifting with the intention of experimenting, of course, that is completely up to you. You can do whatever you want, but this is just for the sake of efficiency. If you are a beginner thrifter, if you are looking into getting into thrifting and are a bit intimidated by the setup and the abundance of options, I suggest you follow these things. And yeah, those were just my tips. Now that I'm saying it, I think that I've already mentioned a few of these like during some of the hauls that I did, the haul videos. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. But yeah, if I think of anything, I might add to this in a future video. But for now, that's all that I do that makes it easier for me to thrift. I hope you found this useful at least, or I hope this encouraged you to get into thrifting. Even though it can be a bit intimidating at first, do it. It's good for the environment. It's good for finding niche pieces that may not be like the height of the trend anymore. Some timeless pieces, some vintage pieces. You can find all sorts of things, high quality pieces. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe if you want to, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.